Hello and welcome to RacinDirt.com, where today we're talking with Dustin Boney, who's made some news lately here in the Kansas City area. He's acquired a Chili Bowl ride for the 2011 Chili Bowl, not just any Chili Bowl, but the 25th annual event. Dustin, first, thanks for having us out today, and just tell us how the ride came about.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming up today. It all kind of started, my wife actually contacted Rick Beebe, real good friend of mine, racing competitor, and kind of got a deal going with Brian Clausen and Corey Tucker, which he knows them really well. So it was kind of an easy way in, and he made a couple phone calls, talked to him at the IMIS show last weekend, and everything just kind of took off from there. They got back with Rick at the beginning of this week and said this is what we need to do to get the deal done. So I started making some phone calls, and here we are.
You know, the entry list is, as we talk today, somewhere close to 150. It'll likely be somewhere around 250. First off, is that a little bit daunting for you to think about that? Or as a race car driver, does that even cross your mind knowing there'll be that many cars there?
No, I've always been the type that I go after competition. You know, I don't stray away or go race where there's no competition. You know, I've always tried to strive myself on going and trying to compete at the highest level, because you're only going to get better by doing that. So the car count, that doesn't intimidate me at all. I mean, just the biggest thing is I've never drove a midget, never drove an open wheel car really to speak of. So it's going to be a learning curve, but I think I'll get the hang of it pretty quick. So we'll see. We got a full day of practice down there on Monday. That's going to help us out a lot. Brian and Tim Clausen, they're super good people to work with. They've already told me that, they're going to work with me before I even get in the car. So I got some good teachers along the way as well.
Did they give you any expectations? Do they put any pressure on you? I mean, nothing like having the USAC National Midget Champion, pitted right beside you.
Yeah. I've been talking to Tim Clausen, which is Brian's dad, and he said, we're gonna be there with a car that's capable of making the show. So that, I guess that's no pressure on the driver, but they're gonna put the best equipment underneath of me, and that's what we're going down there, with high expectations, but we'll just see what happens.
With the equipment, being at such a premium around there, there's a lot of good cars, but Stick and I have witnessed it and combed the pits down there. There's only really a handful of elite level cars, and you'll be in one of those. I'm sure that was something that crossed your mind when thinking, it's going to be quite a bit of work to put this deal together. You need to make sure that you're in the best thing possible. Yeah,
I wouldn't go down there and put myself in something that is just, even half 50% equipment. I want to go with something that is the best equipment. If anything is, if we go down there and we don't do good, then it's all on me. It's all up to the driver to go out and perform. And I've been told, there's, out of the 250 cars there, 50 of them is quality equipment, and Rick has reminded me that I'll be in one of the top 10 or top 15 best rides down there. So the it's getting applied, but we'll just ride it out and see what happens.
Did you learn anything from Rick? He raced with Clausen's at the Kemper race. Unfortunately, that race won't be here this year. I know there are a lot of people bummed out about that, but were you able to talk to Rick about racing a midget?
Yeah, he said actually it's easier than driving a modified. At the time that he drove his midget, he hadn't been back into auto racing for 3 or 4 years, and he had just kind of got back into it. So he was kind of lacking some experience of just seat time and being behind the wheel. He did say that it is easier than driving a modified. So, once I get the hang of it, I think I can adapt pretty quick.
What do you know about your other teammates? You talked about Brian. I think, is it 3 or 4? I know I checked the entry list. I know Tyler Courtney is scheduled to be in one of the cars. Yourself and Brian, I know those 3. I think they've had 4 in the past. So what do you know about everybody that's racing with you?
I don't really know much about the other 2. I know one of them's a younger kid from right in Indianapolis area that Tim's. They've been kind of helping out. I think he's been driving for Brian around home there a little bit. I'm not sure. We will have 4 cars there. I'll have 3 teammates there with us this year, and that's really all I've got, out of anything yet.
What's your family said about this? I know that your background has been in open wheel racing. I'm sure they're behind you 100% on doing a deal like this.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what I got into racing is my parents took me World of Outlaw sprint car racing back when I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and he helped Brad Doty, Jack Hodenshield, Sammy Swindell. I mean, that's who we grew up around, and that's how we got into racing. And then it's taken off from there, and my parents have, helped myself get started in racing, and it's, we have an open wheel background, but I've never raced anything as far as open wheel sprint cars.
My question, why? I mean, you mentioned the background of the family, everybody they helped. How did you get into modified? Was it a case of Justin got into modified, and so that was your natural progression, or how did that work out?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, around locally, they're just, even at that time, and there still isn't, there wasn't a lot of open wheel racing back then. And it's expensive. I mean, it's a lot more expensive than like an entry-level street stock or modified, or, I mean, that stuff is on a totally different level than sprint car racing. I mean, open wheel, anything with open wheel is, the motor's a lot more expensive. It's just all around, it just didn't fit in our budget.
And as far as the business end here for the Chili Bowl, just talk for a couple minutes or a couple seconds, couple minutes. It doesn't matter to me about U.S. Coach Works and Long Family Shorthorns that are helping.
Yeah, Gene Nisley with U.S. Coach Works. You can find them at uscoachworks.net. He's really stepped up to the plate and helped us a lot this year, and just a lot of friends and family that's wanted to see me do this. I mean, this has been a lifelong dream to try and race at the Chili Bowl. Rick Beebe has obviously helped a lot. My wife is the one that put the whole deal together. So she kind of did behind my back too. So it was kind of a surprise, but I got to thank her and Jason Thompson and the list goes on. Jimmy and Chris Long they're from Vinton, Iowa. That's Long Family Shorthorns. They're just racing fans, and we go to the Chili Bowl together every year, and they've stepped up and helped us out a lot. And we're still looking for a couple sponsors to put on board and help us out, and maybe we can work something out with our modified program and our midget deal for this year, and see what happens. But it's just a lot of family and friends, and to help put this whole deal together.
Is this something that would have been on your racing bucket list? I mean, what's the magnitude of this for you personally? A good run, a bad run, when it's all said and done, it's got to feel like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I've said forever that this is the best motorsports event in the country.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, it doesn't sound like a big goal to some people, but I mean, it's literally been a lifelong dream for me to go run this deal. And my parents took me to the 1988 or 1989 Chili Bowl, and ever since then, I've always wanted to go and race there. And it's huge. I mean, it's by far the biggest thing that's ever happened to me, and probably ever will. I don't have a long racing career left. I've got 3 daughters, and I'm not going to race forever. I don't really foresee myself even racing another 6 or 7 years down the road. So to be able to do this, it's huge, very huge.
As far as on your regular racing side with the modified, the 2010 season has to rank right up there. I know you weren't out on the USMTS as much as you were the year before on the trail with those guys, but the Tom Wilson Memorial, and you almost, swept all 3 of those specials at Warrensburg. We talked to you the night after you outran Jeremy Payne at the race, and you said, "I'm the best now." I'm glad we were able to show that. Was that the biggest win of your season?
Definitely of the season, yeah. We won the Jayhawk back in 2008, and we started 17th and had to come from the back, and that was a big win for me. Those 2 are definitely one of the two biggest races in my career. That comment kind of got blown out of proportion. I mean, there's been a battle between the GRT by Phillips and the Hughes cars, right. And it's been going back and forth, and right now between GRT and Jason Hughes, they have the 2 best modified programs out there, and we just proved that that they are beatable. A lot of people think that Team Phillips and GRT is not beatable, and we beat them on that one certain night, and that's what that was out there. That's what that comment was made for. But yeah, we had an awesome year. I mean, we couldn't ask for any better year. Yeah, we were local racing more than what we have in previous years, but the 2011 season, we actually are going to purchase a USMTS spec head motor, and we're going to run a little bit more shows. And with the big money shows that's been announced here in the last month or so, that's really made our decision on what we're going to do for next year. But we'll still be racing locally, and we'll sneak in some USMTS races here and there, and hope for half as good a season as we had in 2010.
A lot of guys say that they kind of set the benchmark for racing. The guys that are on top of their program, they say, well, you need to be out about 50 nights a year. you prove that that's not the case. Do you ever want to run 50 nights a year? Or is your schedule, is that what suits you the best?
Well, with my work this year, I could not race as much as we have. 2009, I think we ran 55 nights, and we ran 30 nights this year, and we just couldn't get out and go racing as much as we have. And yeah, we had a dominant season around home with local racing, but it showed when we went and raced USMTS. We were a 6th to 10th place car. Prior to the previous year, we were a top 5 car if we had good luck, and when you don't race with the best, you only race to the level of your competition. And we fell off towards the end of this year. I mean, I don't think we won a race after August, just we kind of got stuck in the rut in local racing and wasn't going out testing as much as we were. So that we kind of fell off a little bit. That all falls back to traveling and racing with the best.
Is the goal of the USMTS season just to make the hunt? I mean, you get a very select handful of guys that run all the regions, and I guess the Dirt Night shows call those guys the touring titans. Yeah. It looks like Staley's got a pretty good thing going on with the regions. Is that just the goal, just to get into the hunt?
Yeah, I mean, anymore now, I think he changed the rule this year to where if you show up and race every race and you have a perfect attendance in your region, you are able to qualify for the hunt. That puts you way behind as far as points going in, and that's what we did. We ran the Mocan region in 2009, and we ended up 5th in points, and I think we started out 40th, in the hunt points. So we had a long ways to go. We climbed as high as 8th in the points, but it makes it a lot easier. So you can run, just a low budget team like we are. We can run one region, get in the hunt, and hopefully have a good couple nights, and you can get in the top 5 and then race from there.
Are there too many cars in the hunt, and is the hunt schedule too long? The chase for NASCAR, although it's a gimmick, 10 races seems like a pretty good number. But, all we've ever seen are a few races at the very beginning of the hunt in this region. I've just been able to sneak in maybe even a couple in the middle in the past, and it just seems like the car counts are huge. So I don't know how you could say that it's not, but that hunt goes on. I mean, it's over a month that you're out there on the road. I mean, it's just grueling.
Yeah, it is tough, and from what I've kind of heard through the grapevine this year, I have not seen the schedule yet, so I don't know this for a fact, but I heard an interview with another driver that said that it's down to 12 races or so possibly this year, and it's going to be more weekend racing, which would help out. I mean, the year we ran it was 18 races, and we only had 2 rainouts, and I think it was 18 nights of racing in 27 or 33 days. It wasn't that much. It is tough, and if he did cut back on it, I think he would get even more, cars to go run the region to get in and be able to run the hunt. I think it'd make for a more competitive hunt as well.
Well, Dustin, best of luck at the Chili Bowl. Thanks for letting us come up here today and have a chat with you.
All right, appreciate it, guys. Thanks for what you guys are doing.
Thank you. There he is, Dustin Boney. He'll be in one of the Clausen's rides at the Chili Bowl.